And the way I like to think about it is, you know, you see a guitar player who has a huge array of effects pedals at his feet, and this is kind of the computer musician's way of getting that same effect where you can just chain tons and tons of effects together and control them um, any way you want, pretty much. So I'm going to start off by dragging the audio effect rack into this MIDI channel here, and these buttons on the side here allow you to collapse and open certain parts of the audio effect rack. I'll start with this first one. It's the show hide macro control, and what these knobs do here is allow you to control multiple parameters of effects. So that means if you have, let's say you want to control 3 knobs with just one knob, then this macro knob would be perfect for that job. And I'll show you guys how to do that here in a little bit. But just keep in mind that these 8 macro knobs are assignable to any number of effects knobs in here. So I'm going to collapse this one, and we'll open this one up. And this is the chain list here. Once again, I'll go over this in detail in a little bit. But for now, just keep in mind that this chain list allows you to mix your effects. So if you want to pan your effects, or if you want to lower the volume of a certain effect, that can all be done within this chain window here. And this last button here just allows you to collapse and uncollapse the audio effects. It really helps to save on screen space with this button. So really just a simple little button there, but pretty handy. And the audio effect rack does come with a lot of presets, and I highly recommend you guys go over those as well if you're just starting out. I'm fond of the mastering section as well as the performance and DJ part. These have some really fun effects that you can use for your DJ sets. And the cool thing about them is you just click and drag onto your 2 channels if you're DJing with 2 channels, and just control them with MIDI knobs if you want. It's really, really basic, and all the knobs are easily controllable through them. So I highly recommend you guys experiment with those. So I'm going to get out of hot swap mode here, which is this button that I clicked on, and this is what automatically allowed me to open up all these different presets in here. And the last button down here is what allows us to save the preset. So when I'm done setting up this this little simple effects chain here, then we're going to be using that button to save it out. So to get started on the effects chain, I'm just going to drag in an analog synthesizer as our sound source. So this is what will be affected by our effects chain that we're going to set up. So I'm going to click and drag the analog down into where it says drop instrument here, and you can hear it's just a simple analog, nothing too special about it. And then I'm going to go under Live's built-in plugins here, and I'm going to drop a reverb in to the audio effect rack here, and I'm also going to drop a simple delay in here as well. And you want to make sure that you're dropping it inside of the audio effect rack. It can be a little bit confusing for newer people. You want to make sure, let me actually take a step back for you real quick. When I drop in the simple delay, I can either drop it here, which if this orange bar is showing up where my mouse is over right now, that means you're going to be dropping it onto the channel, not into the effects rack. So you want to make sure that this orange bar is right here, and that actually lets you know that you're dropping it into the audio effect rack to chain them together. So that's not really a big deal either. I mean, we've just combined 2 effects. You can do that just by simply dropping 2 effects onto a channel. But this is what it sounds like so far. So we've essentially blended the reverb and the delay sound. So let's take this a little bit further and kind of do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with just dropping effects onto a channel. And the way I'm going to do that is with chains. So I have one chain set up, which is the reverb and the delay, and I'm actually going to separate these out to their own chain now. And the way you do that is I'm going to grab the simple delay, click on it once up here so it's orange, and drag it into this window, this chain window here. So now if I click this chain, I have just the reverb, and if I click this chain, I have just a simple delay. And I'm going to name them appropriately as well, so I'm going to right click here, go to rename, and I'll name this reverb, and then I'll call this one simple delay. And it gets really crazy. I mean, you could create a chain with 50 different effects and then make another chain with 50 different effects. I mean, you can, the sky's the limit, but just to keep things simple for you guys, I'm going to have 1 effect per chain in this example. So I talked about mixing a little bit within Audio Effects Rack's chain view. So if I wanted to just turn my reverb down. So you can hear it coming in and out, and that's actually affecting the volume of the reverb, just like a normal mixer would. The same thing can be done with the delay. So you hear the delay, very faint. It comes back in. And you can also affect the panning, which is really cool too, with this chain setup here. So like any normal mixer, you can pan things left and right. You can do the same thing here. So now the reverb is only coming out of the left channel, and our delay is coming out of the right channel. And if you have a lot of effects chains in here, it really helps to solo these while you're working on your particular sound. So we're now just able to hear the reverb, and now we're only hearing the delay. So it's highly recommended that you guys use those solo buttons when you're really fine-tuning and dialing in your sounds. And then these are just other hot swap buttons here that allow you to choose presets for the particular device you're using. This chain button here, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video, but there is an article I wrote about dummy clips that talk more about it. So I highly recommend you guys read that. And I'll just hide that window there. So that's the basics of how the chain section in audio effect racks works, and it's very powerful for blending your different effects together to get a good sound.